I need for the blood pills he asked me to make. He should be back by now. He's been wandering off ever since we got here. He's probably looking for that gold he's got buried. Oh, there you are. Good, you brought the cucumber root and magnolia bark I need.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I was strolling around Maxie's to see where our home and sanitarium used to be. I had neither the time nor inclination to be looking for buried gold. However, I did go to Skull Shoals, where our living pharmacy used to be. My name's Dr. Lindsay Durham, and I've healed the afflicted hereabouts since the year of our Lord 1825 through 1859, when I left this place to meet my Maker.
We didn't have drugstores or apothecaries, as we would have called them. Many of our medicines came from medical recipes, prepared with herbs and other natural materials.
Most of the plants we used were grown in that garden I was just visiting. My interest in plants for healing started when I was a child. Our family was settled in Georgia on land granted to my pa and grandpa for having served in the George Washington Army. And the Creek Indians lived across the river from us. The Indian children were my friends and playmates, and one boy's grandpa was a medicine man. So sometimes he'd send us out to collect roots and stems and leaves and flowers for brewing. And that's when I got my interest in medicine and doctoring. I loved everything having to do with healing, from plants to prayers.
Tell them how you learned about the Osage oranges from that medicine man.
Yeah, well, when I was 12, my pa got very sick. It was something terrible, and I remembered how the Indians used Osage oranges for pain, so I prepared and applied it as the medicine man had, but it just wasn't enough for my papa, and he passed away. It was right then that I resolved to dedicate my life to healing. The influence of that medicine man stayed with me through all the years as I practiced medicine.
That wasn't the only place you learned about medicine. You traveled all the way to Philadelphia to study. That was a long way to go for medical school.
That was, but I learned regular medicine there. And I continued to use the natural healing practices that I'd learned from the Indians down here in Georgia. I used whatever seemed to work. When I met Miss Martha Walker, she worked beside me, making medicines and writing recipes, holding the hands of the ill and the bereaved. She became my loving companion for the rest of my days. We were married June 25th, 1822. That started our 37-year journey together.
On a mule. I said on a mule. Our honeymoon was a 4-hour ride on a mule. You didn't start out so rich you could bail out that bank in Athens when it was about to go under, and you certainly didn't have any gold to bury.
Oh, no, I didn't. But we were blessed with material riches, primarily from the sanitarium, which grew as fast as our family.
13 children of our own, and we took in so many poor orphans, I lost track.
It all began 1825, 3 years after we were married. It was time to start my medical practice. And there were so few doctors and so much sickness that word spread of the sanitarium.
The sick and suffering came from all around, many traveling great distances. Some arrived in terrible condition, so we built cabins for them to stay in while they recovered. Some of those we weren't able to bring back to health, we laid to rest there.
Would you believe that sanitarium grew until there were room for hundreds of patients?
Without the help of our children and many of the slaves, we couldn't have cared for all those who came seeking help.
The slaves had taught me their medical, their healing ways. And one slave boy named Harry used to hang around and pester me, just like I had the medicine man. He got so good at doctoring, they called him Harry the Medicine Man. Those were years of great need. Imagine the diseases and the hard times that people suffered. There was typhoid fever, scarlet fever, spotted fever, dropsy fever, brain fever, and some people got consumption, palsy, dropsy, and fits.
The women were having babies, milk leg, and vapors. The men were getting hurt and hurting each other, getting lockjaw and pox. The worst, of course, were the epidemics: cholera, malaria, yellow fever, and smallpox. The Indians were struck hardest by smallpox. They just didn't seem to have any resistance. Rumor had it the Army gave them blankets that had been used by smallpox patients.
Yeah, we were luckier than Savannah. It almost seemed like the ocean carried the scourges in and threw them up on the shore. But in spite of all that, 5 of our boys got the doctoring bug. It must have been contagious because they passed it on to their offspring and on for generations until doctoring became the Durham family tradition. And imagine today, my surprise and pleasure at learning that a group called Friends of Skull Shoals had taken it upon themselves to grow and preserve some of the same medicines we had used.
We hope you'll get a chance to visit there someday. Matter of fact, in order to encourage you to visit the local businesses as well as the garden pharmacy, we've prepared some medical recipes that you've been given, and you can use those for discounts in the local stores.
We've enjoyed returning and seeing how Lexington has grown and see how the people have changed, and we're blessed for having been here to visit and to have spent this time with you.